Alright, hey guys, what's up everybody? Today we are going to be playing Deep Rock Galactic. I'm actually halfway through the weekly chorus hunt assignment, and right now that means I need a Dreadnaught mission, an elimination mission. So, oh boy, Magma Core, that is the worst possible spot for an Elim mission, but we gotta do what we gotta do. And right now I'm playing Driller, mostly because I want to try out the latest section of my armory, which is the Snowball overclock for the cryo cannon. So let's see, Tunnel Rat. Fall damage is a pain in the butt, so that could be useful for this mission, even if it's not the biggest thing during elims. So sure, we'll get a drink. All right. And off we go. All right. Well, we're ready to get moving, folks. Let's see here. Okay. Loot bugs. I don't see any point in hassling them unless I'm really low on nitra. Get some gold. The nice thing about Elim missions, and really only because I feel like it would be way too difficult if it wasn't, the nice thing is that swarms that happen in every other mission type don't show up here. Because having one of those pop when you're in the middle of trying to deal with a Dreadnaught would not be fun. And Dreadnaughts are, of course, basically your boss battles in this game. There's also like 3 different versions of them, and there's no telling what'll pop from those first cocoons, so we just gotta make our way over there and find out. Whoa! Yeah, like I said, there's no swarms, but that doesn't exclude a few small pieces from showing up. A few smaller enemies from showing up from time to time, such as a Praetorian there. But no big deal, I didn't even... Oh, there's a mule. Molly, there you are. Alright. Now then, back to gold mining. Hey, Bosco, Bosco's the drone. He's very useful when you're playing a single player, because he can help mitigate the fact that you don't have teammates. He can do all the mining and grabbing things. He can also fight for you, although he's not a whole lot of help against the Dreadnaughts, simply because he's not very good at targeting weak points, and most of the Dreadnaughts can't be damaged anywhere but their weak points. And there, now you can see exactly why Magma Core is, in my opinion at least, the worst possible place for an elimination mission. Because anytime you break terrain with something that's not your pickaxe, this is what happens. You get all these hot lava rocks that'll damage you if you walk on them. The real problem is, every single Dreadnaught has at least one attack that breaks terrain. And, yeah, bad combination. So, let's see. Check the terrain scanner. Oh, shoot. Sure enough, it's right there. Alright, well. Excuse me. Oh, hey, wait a minute. If that's what I think it is, there's a compressed gold chunk there. Yep, and Bosco's mine, so that means I'm right. There's that mule. Big money right there. And a whole vein of gold too that we can get to before we pop the Dreadnaught and see what comes out. Alright, deposit that. And hope Bosco's rockets hit, because they have a tendency to not. Case in point, let's try that again. Kaboom! And it's the twins. Oh boy. Okay, well this is going to be interesting because the what you want to do is I'll stick Ball Skull on the Lacerator and then spend most of my effort on the Arbalest. And switch to this one so I can... Whoa! Now see, this is the thing with the twins. The Arbalest in particular is very difficult to keep track of. Let's try out that Snowball. That didn't even really do much. Whoop! Well, yeah, keeping up with the twins is a challenge, and that's why Bosco packs revives. Christmas. Now. Okay, well, just use both of them in short succession. That's not a good sign. Need to find myself some red sugar after this fight. And need to put some more damage on the Arbalest or it's going to start healing its brother here. And we can't have that. Jeez Louise. And there it is. Yeah, you got to try and keep them damaged relatively equally or they will heal each other like that. Really a pain in the butt because they heal more than they lose. So that overall it's just wasted damage. But keeping them equally is very difficult because, as I said, the Lacerator is really difficult to keep track of. Oh, look, there he is. And them both having a tendency to burrow when damaged is not helpful. Case in point, makes freezing them really pretty difficult. I forgot about the downside to the... well, that's the end of that, boys. Yeah. Okay, so turns out Snowball is not as good at Dreadnaught fights as I kind of expected it to be. So, we are gonna change tactics here. Because you know what does put some serious hurt on Dreadnaughts? If you manage to land it, is the Engineer and his Hyperprop Overclock for the grenade launcher. Now, you land a shot with one of those, it can take a whole lot of health off at one go. It does have very limited ammo, but you know what? That's okay. And it looks like we're still looking at the Magma Core for the assignment mission, so guess we're going back to that. Here we go again, folks. The other nice thing about the hyper-propellant is that it has a very small explosion range, which sounds like a downside, but in the Magma Core, it's risk mitigation. Now, Hollow Knight isn't really worth anything in and of itself, but it's our secondary objective, so we want to collect as much of that as we can. But I'm also not too terribly concerned with it, because all that gives you is a few bonus credits. Now, let's see here. Yep, terrain scanner says there's a cocoon right through here, so line it up, set the drone to work, and get to mining myself so we can do this a little faster. yeah, you can see that Bosco mines a whole lot faster than I do with the right mods. Okay. Oop. Fall damage. Oof. Alright, more Holomite. Oh, Livid Grunt. Well, yeah, Bosco can handle that. Pickaxe also tends to do the trick. Oh, actually, you know what? The Beastmaster perk, I forgot I had that equipped. I meant to switch that out for because it's not super useful, honestly, for Dreadnaught missions. But it lets you tame a Livid Grunt known as Steve. So you have a little friend to help you fight. You know, besides Bosco. Here, grab some nitros so that I can whoa! Okay, so this is why you watch where you're going. So you don't get stuck in a magma geyser. That's always fun to not hit. Alright. We'll just keep mining while I get over here so I can deposit. So I'm gonna need quite a bit of this to even call in one supply drop, so which after that first fight I'm gonna want at least one, I can almost guarantee you, because you're never not low on ammo after a Dreadnaught fight. Alright, now then. This way. Now the nice thing about the driller, well, you'll show you in just a moment, is that oh wait, I'm back to engineer, which means I have to do this kind of the slow way. So you have every dwarf has their traversal tool. The engineer's is the platform gun. It's very versatile, but it's not very fast at getting you where you need to go. However, with a little bit of patience, oh, for heaven's sake, okay. Let's just get rid of that. There we go. Let's just get rid of that. And, ooh, boy, this is really not an ideal place for a Dreadnaught fight. But that's the other big strength of the platform gun. You can make a more ideal space for the big fights like this. You just... helps when you aim it correctly and it actually hits the spot you're trying to get it to hit. But you can expand the floor, flatten out some of these... here, while I get... Oh, the septic spreader. Those are really obnoxious. Well, we're gonna wait for the puddle it just dropped to fade while we flatten out this zone a little. And just for good measure, I'm gonna put up a stack here so I don't go accidentally falling off the edge. And no big deal because they break pretty easily. Now, with the Dreadnaught cocoon being right up here, there's no point in wasting a Bosco rocket. Just pickaxe it a few times and ba-boom, what do we got? Ah, it's the core Dreadnaught. Now then. You just gotta get... Now, the lock one is nice here because you can hit its weak points without being directly behind it if you angle right, because the bullets will seek out whatever it's aimed at. You just gotta get the right path. Alright, there's its armor broken. Now we hit it with that and boom! Like I said, Hyperpop takes off a lot of health in one shot. And we'll go back to the lock one for trying to get through the shield again because it regenerates after so many shots. And boom! We're doing a whole lot better than we did last round. Okay, now That leaves one Dreadnaught, and there's a quirk in the code that means you can't actually have the same Dreadnaught spawn twice in a row on a mission. So that means that next up we'll be either having the twins again or the Hive Guard. Now the Hive Guard is a pain in the butt even with even with the even with the hyperprop because of the way its weak spots work. But the Lock 1 does mitigate that somewhat. How much nitro do I have? Not quite enough. Okay, so gonna hope I can find some nitro or some loot bugs. Ah, red sugar, that's good. Get my health back up to full before the next fight. And there's some gold. Bosco will work on mining that because I can't really reach it without wasting a bunch of platform gun ammo. Where's that mule? Molly! Alright, grab all that gold and... Oh, and also that was... I've got enough Holomite now to complete secondary jet... Oh, that's a Praetorian. That's another nice thing about the hyperprop. It deals disintegrate damage, which means that things like, if you kill something like Praetorian with it, its gas cloud that it usually unleashes when it dies doesn't proc. Which is just one less thing to worry about. Alright. Sometimes I do wish the supply of flares was a little larger, you know, because it gets real dark in this game without them. But they recharge, and, you know, you do technically have infinite... Oh, there's another Praetorian. Just set Bosco to dealing with that while I figure out my way down here. Ooh. Well, if I hadn't just botched that, I would have landed on my... Oh dear. Barrage Infector. Did not see that there. Ooh, hey, and that is why you always reload before you... when you're done with the big fight, because if I had had a full mag on my Lock 1 there, that wouldn't have happened. Well, the good news is that there's Nitra, and that should be enough to get me a supply drop so I can restock on everything before I take on the last Dreadnaught. Oh, come on, one short. Gotta find me a loot bug somewhere, I guess. In the meantime, there's red sugar so I can restore my health. And, oh hey, loot bug. I don't love killing these little guys. They're cute, but they're full of precious minerals, and I need nitra. So, I guess I don't really need any more Holomite. Alright, the cocoon's all the way up there, so I'm going to use Bosco's rockets to... Or try to use Bosco's rockets, but... First things first, let's... Magnite. You can never have enough of this stuff. It's hard to come by. And there's a lot of mods that use it, so... it's... very valuable. Alright, now just gotta find a spot to... Did I not... Gotta deposit the nitro before I can call in a supply drop. Hello. Where's Molly? There she is. There we go. Now we drop that in. Make sure everything's reloaded. Right. Oh yeah! Well, now I feel a little silly. I completely forgot about my sentries in the last fight. So I should get those set up before I... Oh, that might have been a bad place to call the